Let's announce in debate. Facts and figures seal our fate. Questions linger in the air. Nights will answer if we dare. Beyond the lane, beyond the lane. Night to dance to start the game. Like and subscribe, share the fame. Beyond the lane, beyond the lane. Feel the rush in every scene. Moments captured, oh so key. Ange won't change the way he plays. The Spurs analyst is here to stay. Tune in for what we bring. If good debate and chat's your thing, keep on pushing to the top, 'cause your cause will never stop. Every fall with every cheer, every argument we fear. The analyst in your voice are here to make a lot of noise. Feel the light, a brand new show. Tune in to help us grow. Every Tuesday night at 8. Join the chat and don't be late. The analyst in debate. Facts and figures seal our fate. Questions linger in the air. Nights will answer if he dares. Beyond the lane, beyond the lane. Night you dare to start the game. Like and subscribe, share the fame. Beyond the lane, beyond the lane. Let's announce in debate. Facts and figures seal our fate. Questions linger in the air. Nights will answer if we dare. Beyond the lane, beyond the lane. Night you dare to start the game. Like and subscribe, share the fame. Beyond the lane, beyond the lane. Feel the rush in every scene. Moments captured, oh so key. Ange won't change the way.
Hey, welcome to Beyond the Lane, episode 6. And I'm Nige from Pure Coys, along with my co-host, Spurs, Dan from the Spurs Analyst. How you doing, Dan?
I'm good, mate. How's your day?
Oh, you know, same old, same old. Yours?
Yeah, man, not too bad. And you got that stinky cold, haven't you?
Yeah, absolute stinker tonight. Just want to go to bed, to be honest, but it is what it is. We have had some great guests on the show so far. 6 episodes in, we've already had Brian Daigle from Tottenham on Tour, who was fantastic. And we've had Stelios from Tottenham away last week, another great guest. And tonight is no different. Tonight we have Ashmatic from Spurs Kings TV. Thank you for joining us, Ash. Really appreciate it.
Yes, my people. Thanks for having me on. Big yourselves up. And yeah, man, let's get into it, man. It's a brand new show, brand new channel. Big up you guys. Love what you're doing. And as it says at the bottom, please make sure you like and subscribe to these wonderful guys, these great hosts, passionate Spurs fans, doing what they do, asking the right questions, man. Let's do it.
Big up, Ash, man. Thanks for coming on. I hope you're good.
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. I'm good. I'm not as bad as Nige. Nige is, I don't know, man. Sometimes Spurs loss can kind of do that to your immune system. It can kind of shatter. I have been there before, bro. Don't worry. You'll get over it. You'll be okay.
So we have a couple of questions for you to start the show. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do it.
Nothing too heavy. I won't be asking anything too deep. So the first question is, why Tottenham ahead of any other team, and who was your favourite Spurs player when you were growing up?
You know what? I started supporting Spurs when I was like 6 years old. My brother kind of stuck it on me. He was like, listen, can't support Liverpool. Here are the teams that you can support. And he listed a bunch of teams. And obviously I went away as a 6-year-old kid, looked at the teams, and I said, I like this team here, Tottenham. This team here, I like them, Tottenham. So then ever since then, I had to start supporting them. I didn't want to, it was weird because I had a lot of awareness as a young kid that I knew what teams were quite popular, and I didn't want to support the team that everyone else was supporting. I didn't want to be a glory hunter, you know. So I felt this team, stylistically, I like the look of them. I like the look of the players, and I thought, yeah, you know, this is going to be my team. I'm going to get behind it. And also, I've got some family that are quite close to the stadium too. That also probably affected my decisions. One of my cousins, he's in his 50s now, but yeah, he was a massive Spurs supporter. So I think that might have had something to do with it. Growing up, you know, my favorite player actually was Klinsmann when I first started supporting the team. I really liked Klinsmann coming in, and I not far behind that was Teddy Sheringham. In fact, my uncle was a cab driver, and Teddy regularly went down to Barbados. And my uncle said he picked him up, and I was like, "Oh, did you get his autograph?" He was like, "No, I didn't get his autograph. What are you talking about?" I said, "You should have done something for me. You know, I'm a Spurs fan. You know, I'm a Tottenham fan." But yeah, growing up, that though Klinsmann was my original, I call him my OG. But like as I got older, Ginola for me was like a player really got me excited as a fan. But yeah, man, that's pretty much me, man.
Yeah, very similar in the fact that obviously I'm a little bit older, so Hoddle was my first like favourite, but Teddy Sheringham for me, the ultimate hero, and absolutely devastated when he left the first time. But
Yeah.
yeah, my second question is, what made you decide to get into YouTube, and have you any tips for new YouTubers out there, i.e., Dan and myself?
I didn't actually want to get into YouTube, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I'm just a fan, and I'll be honest, I was watching like We Are Tottenham TV. That's the first kind of Spurs kind of channel I came across, and they had like a little thing where you could phone in and you could kind of say your piece, or not phone in. You kind of did like a video chat or whatever it is. Like the fans would come and say after a match, post match, like fandom part. And I came on because I was hearing a lot of fans talk, and I was like, you know, I need to. I've been watching it for a while as well. I'm thinking I need to have my say. I need to get my opinion out there. And it was literally one of those ones where I said my piece on their show, and I started calling in, like not just for post shows but for pre shows, because I'm a football fan and I like to watch other clubs, and I felt like not a lot of people gave enough knowledge on, like, you know, the opposition. If you understand your opposition, then you know what you're up against. And I felt like a lot of Spurs fans only watch Spurs. So I was like, right, this is interesting. Let me call up and say my piece. And then I got invited by them to do like a watch along. And I did a watch along. So I wasn't on YouTube then, but obviously I was on their platform. So I was on YouTube. And then from that, I met Marlon. And then he asked me, you know, if I wanted to come and do the channel with him. He's got a channel at the moment. And I was like, not really feeling it at first, because I don't really like the whole like commitment thing where you've got to, you know, tie it down to every week or but he was like, no, there's no pressure, like, you know, when you're ready, when you do it, when you want, that kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, cool. All right, cool. And he said you've got free creativity as well. I said, all right, cool, maybe I could switch it up a little bit on the space. And yeah, man, here we are today. Like, even till now, I don't really consider myself as a YouTuber. I just see myself as a commentator. I'm a person with an opinion, and literally that's it. That's what it is for me. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously,
Yeah,
I'm able to mix it up with more Spurs fans, because at one point, like, it felt a bit lonely from where I was. I didn't know that many Spurs fans, if I was being totally honest. Like, one of my boys growing up, when I was like 8 years old, 10 years old, we went to Spurs games together. But yeah, that was about it. I didn't really know that many Spurs fans. And then as I started doing this, I started meeting a lot more people. So yeah, man, that's what it was for me.
nice.
Oh,
And my last question. Oh, go
tips.
on.
I didn't say tips. Sorry, tips. My tip, uh, if I had any, was just to like continue just to create content, as much pieces of content that you can, if you really want to excel in this. Like, if you want to grow the channel, I think, yeah, look what other people are doing, not just in the Spurs community, but just in football in general, on all platforms, and say, what can I take from that and add to this particular channel? That's how I would go about growing. Do you know what I mean? Authentically, I
Yeah,
think. And then obviously collaborating with other people helps, because it gets
yeah,
your out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Dan, you got any questions?
Yeah, just a couple more, Ash.
Yeah.
Good answers, man. Really interesting stuff. Um, you've kind of answered it a little bit in your last answer, but what would you say was your biggest challenge you faced, and how did you overcome it?
What as a on a channel in the
Yeah,
chat?
just doing this whole YouTube thing. It's it's at the
Yeah.
beginning. It's not easy, is it? It's
No.
it's new. It's you're on live. You're like live to anybody watching, and people make mistakes. Sometimes you might get
Yeah.
something wrong. Or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What was it for you, man?
Yeah, I think the technical side was the biggest challenge, if I'm being totally honest, because I've got so much ideas, but then to actually get it out there, I'm like, how do I transform the idea that's in my head and then put it on a screen? Because, like me personally, like like I said, I'm just a person with an opinion. I don't really see myself as a YouTuber, or I don't really see myself. I just a guy that comes on and I just say it how I see it, if that makes sense. But then creativity wise, I felt like I want to do this, but how do I do it? So then I would try to do some research behind it or ask other like YouTubers, like, how do you do that? I want to do this. How do I do that? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not on YouTube like crazy amount of times because obviously life be life in. Um and if I could, I would probably be on there a little bit more. But yeah, it's about finding a balance as well. But I just felt so maybe that could be another one, like balancing real life, and then trying to make time for like because I see it as a hobby, you know what I mean? This YouTube thing's a bit of fun. Um and if I can keep it that way, I always said to myself, the day this doesn't become fun is the day you ain't gonna see Ash. I said, listen, I'm out. It's not work. Like, do you know what I mean? There's one thing supporting your club, and like your club obviously will piss you off certain times. You get mad, you get emotional, but that's all part of being a fan. But when it comes to like doing this, and I'm like, oh, you know what? This is feeling hard now. I just, for whatever reason, whether it be external or internal, meaning like external being like other people, internal just be my own head. Sometimes you're in your own head and you overthink. Do you know what I'm saying? Certain things that are real simple, and then you don't get anything done because it's procrastinating over the silliest things. But how I overcome it, like answering my own question, is I always remember just to keep things really short and simple. Because me myself, I know I can go on a tangent, I can go down a rabbit hole, I can go too far one way or too far. That's just me personally. So I always need to remember and remind myself to keep it short and simple, wherever like avenue I do go down, and that's how I get things done. Otherwise, it's a mare. Do you know what I mean? But that's my advice.
And Ash, did you was there anybody who inspired you? Like any creators out there you thought, "God, they're good." Anybody particularly, or maybe not one, maybe there was a few.
Yeah, so when I was watching like Match of the Day, really big fan of Match of the Day. As a kid, I used to record their shows constantly. So back in the day, for me, it was Des Lynam. For me, I know there was it Jimmy Hill? I can't remember what it was
Yeah.
before Des Lynam, but I was Des Lynam. That was my guy. Like, and I like the way he used to present the show. And they used to have two pundits, and the pundits, I think it was Alan Hansen, and sometimes it used to be Jimmy, or sometimes it used to be another guy, and they used to go at each other on the show. But then they would break it down as well, like what happened on each game. So you get to see all the games. I really like the format of that. And then obviously Gary Lineker came with a bit more banter and euphemism. That was cool. But yeah, I really loved that as a show. Would look forward to that as a kid growing up. Saturday nights, I would listen to a radio show. My radio show, I would listen to like Tim Westwood, Goldfinger, BBC Radio 1, and then I'd watch Match of the Day. Or certain times I'd watch like Blind Date, Gladiators. That would be like my whole sit down with my tea and my digestives, and that would be my weekend ready. And then when I get to school, I say, "Oh, did you watch Shadow and Gladiators?" Da, da, da. Then you talk about football and da, da, da. And like, so I used to like things like that. All of that is like a whole romance for me, because I just remember when the news came on, because you had to watch the news before Match of the Day, you close your eyes and your ears like that because you didn't want to hear the score or ruin it. And then you'd watch Match of the Day, or I did anyway. I used to like wait for it as a surprise. If I didn't know or go to the game, I'd wait just to watch the match today. And like I feel like I'm watching it live, if that makes sense. So everything was a
Yeah.
surprise. Yeah, that's what I would say really inspired me into this space, like moving forward.
Yeah, really interesting, Ash. So now, I've been watching your channel for quite some time. I'm a big fan, and when you think about it, when do you think the turning point was? Because obviously you've built up subscribers, you have your regular people who watch now, and you see, and you come and watch your shows week in, week out. When was the turning point, and how do you think that impacted on your journey?
To be honest, I don't really know what the turning point was. When I first came in, I obviously this Marlon's the chief of the channel, so he's behind like the data analytics, the technical side of things. So he knows what's going on. The only way I would know how many numbers were on is if I asked. Do you know what I'm saying? But he would tell me anyway. Not that I was remotely interested in it. I just wanted to go on the channel, say what I wanted to say, and then see you later. Do you know what I mean? Or if I didn't say what I'm saying, I wanted to have guests on that knew more than me, or I could learn off, if that makes sense. I wanted to go on the show and I wanted to, if I'm not being entertained, I want to learn something. I want to get something from that show. That's always the angle I'm coming from. Or can I teach? Can I educate? Can I bring something to the table? So in about surrounds way, that's how I will go about it. But a turning point, I don't really know. Obviously, we got to 1K and it took a while before we got to 1K. It was like a long struggle. Like I remember like 500 to 700 was a struggle. Like, oh, we're almost at 700. And then we got it. But we outside of it, always brainstorming, right, and like coming up with ideas, what we could do. And we tried a few things that didn't work. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes when you're on your journey and you're excited, you try something and you're trying to get a bit ahead of yourself, if that makes sense. And we said, oh, we'll do this type of show. Like, and I think it was a thing where we might have seen someone else's channel do it, and we're like, yeah, we should do that as well. Because that's what you do as a channel. You look whatever like other shows are doing, and you're like, yeah, let me do that. And then you try to do it for your channel and it doesn't quite work. You're like, oh man, maybe. But I just think it was the consistency for us, because when I first started, there was other weekly shows on the channel, and then when it came to like the summer break, like the transfer window time, the channel went completely dead. Like it was went, phew, like nothing happened, and we actually lost followers because we weren't putting out content. So I think that might have been like a turning point. We were like, well, a turning point for me when I was like, all right, the next summer, instead of like doing less content, I'm just going to try to ride it out through the whole summer. Because sometimes in my head, I was like, I would like a break. It's nice to have a break. Like, can't be Tottenham 24/7. Do you know what I mean? But actually, when you're building and you're trying to get ahead and you're trying to grow, you can't have no days off almost. You know what I mean? As much as I said, yeah, it's all fun and games, at the same point, you do have a slight competitive edge where you're like, all right, cool. How can we get to the next level? Do you know what I mean? How can I go from 700 to 1,000? Like that's what we were chasing. And I think because we were chasing the 1K and we had that target, it made everyone kind of focus down on that number. And we tried different things and we were trying to experiment and yeah, 5 away, 10 away, or 100 away. Do you know what I mean? All right, cool. So that energy in itself made us push to kind of get that channel over the line to that 1K. But at first, like I remember on the channel, I'd have like 6 people watch, not 6 people, but maybe 10 people watching, 6 to 10 people watching. And I remember the number going like 10, and then it dropped down to 5, 4. Oh, damn it. So like yeah, I remember the struggle was real, like sometimes, and then go to 0 when no one's watching, and you're just F it, it is what it is. You're just talking like, and even like now, like it is as well as the channel's doing, like there is times I'm like, wow, I don't think anyone's gonna watch today. Do you know what I mean? I still have that kind of like, I don't know. I'd say innocence to it. Like I'm thinking, maybe I don't think anyone's gonna watch today. And then one person comments, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. We got one person. Oh wow, I didn't think I'll get anyone today. Do you know what I mean? So
That
it's
is,
that
yeah.
kind of like I still feel like I'm with you. I'm like I still feel like I'm starting. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't even feel like I've actually got anywhere. Do you know what I mean? But I still have in my heart, in my mind, I'm doing it because I enjoy it and it's just a bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? I don't take it as serious as some people, but at the same time, like there's discussions to be had. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of fun, and it's like, you know, you maybe go to the pub or you might go to your mate's house or wherever you link up with other Spurs fans to have this type of debates or chats. It's like, yeah, we're just bringing it to the screen, literally. Do you know what I mean? That's it.
It's so weird, isn't it? Because we say it all the time, and I was thinking about getting some black tape so I can just cross off the viewing figures, so I'm not constantly
Yeah,
looking at it because I'm
yeah.
constantly like, oh, we got 9, and then it go down to 7. You're like, oh my god, we've
Yeah,
only got
what did I say
7,
to
and
these are two people?
yeah, what did I say wrong? But
I'm
yeah,
like, oh my days, maybe I
it's
should
been
have
like
said
that.
that. You know what I mean? But more time is just like, yeah, you're just saying what's on your heart. You know, you say it how you see it, and you get a lot of things wrong in it. Like I'll have a lot of mad takes that people won't agree with. But that's the whole point of it. You're meant to just like say it as it is. You know what I mean? Say what you think at the time, and maybe like a month's time you're proven right or you're proven wrong. But I think that's the whole point of the space, bro. Like,
Yeah.
No,
No, it's,
great. It's
yeah,
interesting, Ash. Fascinating, man. Fascinating stuff. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. Nige, do you want to just say big up to people in the chat? I think, do you want to do
yeah.
it?
You can do it, mate, if you want.
All right.
I'm
Yeah,
just
so
looking
just
at
big up to people
the
in the
banners.
chat. Thank you for coming down to watch us tonight.
Yeah,
Big
thank
up
you.
Robbie. Big up Estelle. Big up Dan. Big up Bad Gashna. We have Liston. Big up Liston. Big up Mark, and also one more. Big up Eugene. Thanks for all coming to watch us today, and yeah, I hope
Thank
you
you.
enjoy the rest of the show.
pick up everyone in
Much
the chat, man.
appreciated.
Love, man, as always, man. We appreciate you, man. Trust me, man. We're humble out here, brother. Every little comment helps, man. Trust me. You don't understand how much it helps, man. But yeah, no, I'm with it, man. I'm with you guys, man. But yeah,
Ash, are you happy at the moment with what's happening at Spurs? If so, why? And if not, what would you change?
I wouldn't say I'm happy, no. Because at the moment we're ultra inconsistent, and if you are to be taken serious, and like, you know what it is? It's an ego thing for me because I've got a lot of friends, and obviously they support their clubs, you know, and their clubs, obviously, they're of the traditional, you know, top 4 slash top 6, whatever you want to call it. I mean, top 6 is pretty much brand new. We were the originals of the top 4, but you know, in terms of being treated on that level, when you speak about trophies, it's kind of hard to kind of, you know, debate people, come into some type of conversation. And so every time I see my club and I'm like, there's a transfer window that goes by, and I've been like this for years. Every time I would have a little bit of hopium, you know what I'm saying? I'll get a little pill, I would swallow it, drink some water down to make sure that gets inside and grows into something. But yeah, it's just each time it's like I'm let down by my expectation. I can't put that on the fan base or other people. Each and every one of us have our own expectations of where they think we should be. Do you know what I mean? And I'm no different. And so when looking at Spurs at the moment with the manager, like going back to when he first came, I didn't know much about him, but what the little I did see, especially when I was looking at the friendlies, I was impressed by the style of play. Now, some people are like, they're not really behind the style of play. It's not for them. Me, I like not just attacking football, but the way they kind of approach the game. And the guys ideas and philosophies, I kind of got behind it because I studied it. I was like, what are the tactics? What's he trying to do here? How are we building up? And then I saw it in the live and flesh, and I was not the live flesh, but I saw it in the friendlies, and I was like, oh, hang on a second. Like, we lost this game against Barcelona. I remember Yamal first time against, who was he playing against? Was he against Emerson Royale? I can't remember who was on the, who was
Yeah.
was it? I can't remember if it was Ben Davis or Emerson Royale. Anyway, that our fullback got cooked by Yamal, and I was like, everyone's like, oh, how are you getting cooked by a 16-year-old? Oh my days. Not realizing Rafinha came off and then he came on. Rafinha couldn't do what he did. And Yamal, now, like, you know, years down the line, we know he's a top player. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to be one of the world's most elite players. But I remember watching that friendly, and even though we lost, I admire the courage that we played out from the back into their half. And I'm like, this is Barcelona. But like, we're actually bringing it to them. We're not sitting. This is mad because I was used to us sitting back. You know what I mean? And I associate sitting back with being like, you know, respectful to your opponent, and even a slight, you know, you're better than we are. So a slight tibbiness, a slight shyness. Do you know what I'm saying? So when we kind of stepped up to Barcelona in that friendly, I was like, okay, well, it's a bit of arrogance. Do you know what I mean? Forget like what we played against West Ham and the Sailors and the rest of it. It was like, this was the game, and I was like, I was watching. Do you know what I'm saying? I was like, what's going on here? So when I watched that, and I said, right, if we can translate that into the league, I can kind of get behind it. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, when he started doing that the first 10 games, obviously it was a good feeling, euphoric after being down in the pits, and you know, people on one side and the other, everyone seemed like a happier Spurs place to be. Do you know what I mean? So I was behind it. And then for me, I looked at it and I was like, okay, I get what he wants, but we don't quite have the players that matches the style of what he wants to do. Because I'm like, we're kind of playing like the Barca way. Like, we're kind of playing like, I don't know, possession based type of football, but we're kind of doing it quicker. We're doing it in a way where we build up ultra fast. We're not doing it like a slow build up. We're just, it's quite gone the whole kind of. So, but I was like, oh, we need technical players. We need technical players. And then again, my whole team was like, I was looking at like top players, forgetting like, you know, this is Spurs. We're not there yet. But I was like, if we get this player and that player, you know, you start romanticizing and fantasizing. We could really take this league up. We could really do something with this manager. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, that first window came, and I remember on my channel we were researching into the players. Like, you know, there was like the Vicario, the goalkeeper. I was like, oh, what's he gonna be like? Da, 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 da. We looked at Mickey Van der Ven. What's he? What type of centre back is he? Do you know what I mean? We're just doing research into it, and so I like the whole like the idea of not knowing who he was, not knowing the players he was bringing in, and kind of seeing that process unravel. Do you know what I mean? And then we kind of went really fast, kind of ahead of ourselves, and then dropped off as the season went down. Do you know what I mean? And maybe going to the level where actually this is the level we're actually at. Do you know what I mean? Then the second window, summer window, that is, came in, and I was like, again, I went into my kind of romance inside. I was like, but this time we're actually gonna do it properly now, because the first window
Say,
was, you know what I mean? He's been it in, but this is gonna be the window right now. So then me, I'm excited, thinking, yeah, we get this technical player, because you know I like to look at players. I'm looking at players thinking, yeah, this player here, we get this would work at this, da, 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 da. And then obviously it never happened, didn't it? We were linked with a lot of players, never manifested into anything. And we are where we are now. And here's my expectation. My expectation from where it was dropped dramatically. And a lot of people would say that you're not a positive fan, or you're not a happy fan, etc., etc. I always see myself as positive, so I was surprised at people calling me not positive. I was like, I'm the most positive person I know, damn it. But moving on, I just thought, yeah, like I didn't really see the improvement from where I thought where we needed to be, and I thought we're going against a bag of other teams. Like at the time, I was scared about Man U, even with Ten Hag. I know people are like, oh, that's Ten Hag though. But I was like, they're buying centre backs, so they're trying to address their problems because their centre backs are too slow. I was looking at what Chelsea were doing. I was like, oh, they only finished 2 points behind us. Even at the time, I was looking at West Ham, and I know Newcastle didn't really do anything in the window, but I was looking at all of our competitors, and I was like slightly worried that we hadn't done enough in the window, that we had changed from the previous season to kick on to gonna, either break the top four, or even, dare I say it, challenge, you know what I mean? So anyway, that window got shut. And then, second season came around, and the style of play, I was still trying to cling on to that. Like, maybe the style of play, these guys have got another kick at it. Maybe it's ingrained in them a little bit more. And, because they've had another season, they're going to, the attack is going to kind of push through a bit more. But, results weren't going our way. And some people would say the performance have improved, but at the end of the day, we're in a results-based business. So where I'm at now, where we're so up and down, I'm like, you know what? It's looking real techie for our manager right now. It could go either way. I'm not a person that's going to lose their head and say, like, be ultra reactionary and like say, look, because of the last few couple results, or even if the back end of last season, I'm gonna, all of a sudden panic and be like, oh no, I'm gonna wait it out. I'm not expecting anywhere near the top four. I said between, I don't know, sixth, around that mark. Wouldn't be surprised if we fell out of that. I know the type of board that we have. If we finish outside of Europe, that ain't gonna be good enough, and they will pull the plug faster than you can say kumbaya. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So my expectation is really low, and some people are like, Ash, why is your expectation so low? Oh, your expectation is this through the floor, man. Like, what kind of expectation is this? But it's because of the transfer window is the reason why I'm looking at it this way. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I love it though. I love it. But but I said, yeah, you know what, it is what it is, man. I don't know, man. That's where I'm at with it at the moment. And can I see us doing anything different like come January? No, I don't think we're gonna improve during January. And I think that will affect where we are placed come towards the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, that like what I would like to see, my hope is that we do well in the cups, but I don't think we'll win a trophy, bro. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I don't think we're like lots of people clinging on to trophy. I just don't think we have the squad to compete when it comes into the harder parts of the competitions, whether it be League Cup, because when you get to the League Cup, like quarters or semis, you're gonna face like unless you get an easy run, which you can. But when you get to the final, do we have what it takes to get it over the line? I can't see it personally. Europa, I respect a lot of the coaches in that league. So me personally, when it gets to the latter stages of that competition, again, do we have the leaders? Do we have the quality? Not even leaders. Do we have the quality? Because for me, it's a quality issue at times. Do we have quality off the bench to kind of change the outcome of the game? Like, I looked at the bench, like even like if we look at Palace, I saw what we brought on. I was like,
Yes.
yeah.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? Because I'm one of these fans who's like, I will take a trophy and finish 12th. I'm fine with that. I just want a trophy. But then I lose my mind when we lose to Palace. So, you can't have it both ways, can you?
It catches you off guard because you say, like me, I would say a lot of things. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't mind. I'll finish 7th or 8th, or I'll finish 9th. And then when you start losing, I think it's the manner of the loss. And
Yeah.
when you don't see it coming and it catches you off guard, I think that's what it is. Because Palace, in your head, they're like, all right, cool. They haven't won all season. They haven't been playing well. And when I did watch them, because I watched them against Forest, I watched them Monday Night Football. I actually watched that game just to see what they were about a bit more. And I watched them against Liverpool. But to be fair, even though they've been losing, they hadn't really been like getting battered, if that makes sense. But they were still sitting back low block. So I thought it was going to be one of those games where we're going to have a lot of the ball and they're going to frustrate us and we're going to have to break them down and find a way. Do you know what I mean? And we might drop a point at worst case, but yeah, I didn't know they were going to go revert back to, old school Palace when they had the free, because they were playing Nketiah. I was like, I didn't understand. I was like, why are they starting Nketiah for? When Mateta was working well last season with Eze, and then obviously Olise is gone, but you've got Saar there, so why not do the free and continue to play how you were playing before? Just so happened they wanted to do it against us on Sunday and press the hell out of us, and then we just couldn't take it, and we shit the bed. The rest is history, bro.
That's it. Yeah, Dan, you got anything to say?
Yeah, going back to the cups, that's all my hope is in now is for the cups. I don't think we're going to do anything in the league. We're just too inconsistent. The results show it obviously clearly. So it's the cups for me. Do I think we'll win a cup? Probably not. But as we're still in it, you never know. Depends on the run. Depends who we draw. But yeah, that's all my kind of focus is on at the moment. There's so much going wrong at Spurs right now. It's a long conversation. And I think throughout the show, we may kind of dip in and out, depending on where the conversation takes us. But Nigel, are you going to cover the Palace game, or are you going to continue with the questions?
Yeah, no, we will go to the Palace game now. Obviously, Palace winning 1-0. What went wrong? I guess we all know, really, don't we? Is it a game where, who takes the blame? The players, the manager, a bit of both? I'll start with Dan. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, so going into that game, we everyone expected us to win, right? That's what I was hearing. I thought we'd win. I didn't think it would be easy. I thought it'd be a bit of a battle, but I thought our quality would shine through in the end. Obviously, Palace going into that game, they were 18th in the league, not won a game, not started well. And what we saw in that first half was how Palace were up for it. They're pressing. They were kind of beating us up in midfield, bullying us. We couldn't play our game. They were all over us. And it was a bit of a surprise. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, they were playing really well. And their manager, Glasner, he really set them up in a really positive way to just have a go at us. And, you think that you're going to have that period anyway, going away from home. Of course, you're going to come under a bit of pressure. But we just could not get going in that first half, could we, guys? I think leading on to that, Ash, what did you think at that stage?
You know what? I felt like from minute one, like Poch used to say it, 5 minutes into the game, he knew if we were going to win or lose. And I felt exactly the same on Sunday. I looked at it, I said, what is going on here? Like, all of our bad traits came out in that game. There wasn't one thing I felt we were doing right. When I say they disrupted our rhythm, our spirit, our very being, our DNA, they just came with the plan. And the funny thing is, under Glasner with Frankfurt, when we played them in Champions League, I know it was under Conte, it was different style of football, but I felt like I kind of knew what Palace could bring or how they could hurt us. And obviously, because they've lost Elise and they have been on a bad run of form, I had a slight confidence where I thought, okay, Eze has to be on the game. Mateta might have. No, actually, you know what? When I saw the lineup, that's when I panicked because I wasn't sure if Mateta would start, and I wasn't sure if if Adam would start. When I saw Adam, I was like, oh man, I thought he was injured. I thought he was come back from injury. Thought he might be on the bench chilling. but they decided to inject him with whatever boost he needed with hormone therapy. I don't know. Put the kid on the field. I said, damn it, he's the guy he supplies, man. He's the one that can dictate from deep. Oh, like
Good
something
player.
we
He's a good
got.
player.
I said, oh, as soon as I saw that, I had a little bit of worry. You know, like as a Spurs fan, you just have a little doubt in your mind and it just starts growing and manifesting. Then the game kicked off, and then I was just like, oh, shit, why are they so like when I'm watching it, it's weird. It's like almost like an out of body experience. So like, why are they in our half? Why are we not in their half? Like, it's madness. Normally, we're in their half, they're pinned back, but now it's the other way around. I just couldn't make sense of it when I'm watching it. And I'm there trying to break it down tactically, but at the same time, the fan in me is coming out because I'm like, not there, don't pass it there, blah, blah. You know, like you're shouting at the TV. What are you doing? Yeah. So all of that's going on. I was rattled. I think the players got rattled. Ange was doing Ange things like, which is pretty much nothing. And that's where I felt like they had the game won because you win the first part of the game up here mentally. And I just felt like they had our number. Do you know what I mean? We know Selhurst Park is a small ground. Do you know what I mean? We know that the home team are going to do home stuff where some teams they make grow the grass a bit longer. So then it's harder for teams that like to play on the deck, pass through, blah, blah. Some teams they water the ground more. So then when the ball bounces, it doesn't bounce, it kind of it's flat, then you can't pass this. All excuses, by the way. But the point I'm making is they had enough with their home advantage and the crowd and momentum to throw us off our game where we couldn't get out of our asses. When normally you look at a player and you say, right, if we give it to this player, he's going to, you know, on a half turn, no problem, pick it up off the pitch, take it up the pitch, and then all of a sudden we're going to have enough quality to pick them off at some point. That never happened. Do you know what I mean? Moore, who was electric the other night, do you know what I'm saying, was quiet. I'm like, we've finally got a winger that's close control. He's a dribble merchant. He's not afraid. He's brave. He likes to take players on. He's young. He's fearless. He actually has the quality. He's something that we're looking for. And even I remember I got a phone call before the game, and he was like, "You know what, with Ange, I have to give it to because that's not the person it sounds. It's just me doing an impression. He actually dropped Werner," and I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Fair play, innit? He dropped Werner. All right, we gotta get it to him. All right, cool. And he's playing Mikey Moore." So I was like, you know what? I don't want to get too excited with Mikey Moore. I want to just kind of let him do his thing. And, you know, it's his first game in the Premier League off the back of the midweek Europa. I said, Ash, just chill, man. Like, just relax and enjoy the game. Do you know what I mean? The whistle blows, yeah. Oh, man. What is going on here? Like, it was just, well, I was just so rattled the whole game. And it was like, first half happened. And when the second half happened, I wasn't confident going into that second half. I wasn't confident that things were going to change for the better. And then obviously the substitutions happened. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that.
Look, let's just
we
head
will
back
get
to
to
the
that.
first half. Yeah, let's head back to the first half. So I don't know about. I saw it. I just thought if you look at the stats, you would say that we were the better team. But if the eye test shows you that Palace was so much better. You know, we had more passes. We had like 267 passes to Palace's 121. But the interesting one with there is Palace had 17 tackles. We only had 7. The XG, we were heading the XG in the first half, but we were a goal down. Why didn't Ange see that something needed to change? And I think particularly in that midfield there, we were getting overrun in the midfield. We all saw it. It was a simple solution for Ange to make. He could have taken off either Maddison or Kulu and put on Sarr, Bentancur, just to give us that bit of stability and hold back into the game. I don't know why he didn't make a change. And even when it comes to halftime, he didn't make that change again. Nigel, what did you think about that?
I just thought it was a strange half right from the off. Even the kickoff. I don't know if you noticed the kickoff. Spurs kicked off, and we just lumped the ball straight up field, and it went straight out for a goal kick, which I find really strange because Spurs usually play it back, keep possession, and I'm like, okay, that's different. But then, like I say, the whole half was really just trying to play it out from the back. This is what frustrated me the most. The amount of times we're trying to play it out from the back and the passes were ponderous, we're slow on the ball, there was no movement. I was just like, I was a bit like us, I was screaming at the TV. I was just like, hit it long, hit a couple of balls long. So Palace are thinking about something different and not constantly all we need to do is press. And I think, I don't know, I just think Spurs were just not at the races. I would have made a change at half time, but I think first half we went in at half time, and I'm like, it cannot be any worse than what it was. That's what I was personally thinking. I don't know about you guys.
Ash, what were you screaming at this TV?
Yeah, so first half, I thought Ange was going to give a different instruction when he saw us struggling to play it out from the back, especially when we conceded that goal, because that goal was coming. It wasn't like that goal came out of nowhere. They were pressing us relentlessly, and we were losing it in the wrong part of the pitch. And actually, if you look at the possession or the passes, where were those passes being made? Were they being made in their half or in our own half? And so that's where you have to look a little bit deeper under the underlying stats to see if that justified the eye test that we were talking about. And yeah, the matchup. You know what? The thing is, the question I've got to ask is, because everyone talks about leaders, right? Oh, we lack leaders. And I'm like, are we saying Crystal Palace have more leaders than Spurs? Do you know what I'm saying? In the first half, everyone has the same amount of energy. Everyone, like, it's not like they're out physical. That's not. I wouldn't say they're like 6 foot beasts that like tower over Spurs' midfield. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So if it's not physical, right? And I'm not saying right, they've got more leaders than us because they started with Lerma and they had Wharton in midfield. Now Wharton's 20 years old. Lerma, I wouldn't say he's technically better than the midfielders that we have. So why is it that they're dominating us in a way where we can't manage that? We can't quite get to grips with the game. So the only thing is, I would say, is an instruction. An instruction's been given to the coach, and they've done their homework. Obviously, they played on Monday, but they did their homework Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We had a game, obviously, to focus on Thursday. No excuses. We had a game to focus on Thursday, and then we probably looked at their last game and was like, all right, they sit back. Then we got surprised. What I would have liked to see from like Ange on the sidelines is to tactically tweak things and say, look, Madison and Kulusevski, their profiles of players, for me, what I see in them is they're the type of player they want to get on the ball and they're attack minded first, meaning their first thought is, how can I get that ball forward? And then they're thinking about defending. Not to say that Madison wasn't defending, because I thought Madison got back, helped out Mikey Moore, defended quite well for the team as well. And if you look at his numbers in the first half, that will reflect as well. Similar with Kulusevski. Kulusevski, for me, he's a type of player. Yes, he is combative. Yes, he is quite physical. But I associate him with more attacking attributes as opposed to defensive attributes. So where I would see him on the pitch would be slightly different. So because we've got two players slightly further forward, they knew how to get behind, or they knew who our outball was, because sometimes everything goes through Madison. And then equally, sometimes Kulusevski, I feel on the right-hand side, is an outball when we're playing through the back, when we're trying to build up. Now, they had an instruction where they could swarm Kulusevski and Porro, where they could no longer get the ball to them, and then therefore the ball would turn over. And then, you see what I'm trying to say? So I'm like,
yeah.
leadership thing, or is it an instruction thing? and then could and see that quick enough and think, all right, hang on, I need to maybe do a few adjustments here. You do this, you do that, and then second half maybe change the profile because Kulusevski, when did that yellow card come on? Was it the first half or the second half? I think it was the first half that came.
It's the first
And
half,
if it
I
was
think, yeah.
we could have hooked him at half time because the other game when we played West Ham, Madison got hooked early, but this game would make sense to hook Kulusevski early because he was on a yellow, and then bring, like you said, like a Sarr or a Bentancur. I think Sarr would have suited better because if I'm looking at his profile, he's got more mobility compared to a Bentancur. Even though Bentancur is a good player and he's good on the ball, he's defensive minded. He's a bit more defensive minded than a Kulu. I just think like Sarr mobility and pitch coverage would help out a Basuma, and then positionally where Sarr starts is a little bit deeper compared to where a Kulu would be. So you've got like almost like a shield there, and they complement each other in that aspect, and would stop Palace getting on top of us.
I've got Ash or Nige, can one of you talk us through the goal we conceded? Because I've got something to say about that, but could either of you talk through what actually happened? Because there was a mistake, wasn't there, from Van der Ven?
From what I can remember, it was, again, trying to play out from the back. For me, there was 3 or 4 mistakes in that one movement. So Vicario playing it slowly out of the back, Romero then just flicking the ball into the middle of the goal mouth, which, you know, I know that they're taught to play out from the back now, but I was always taught when I played football never to play the ball across your own box. But he did that, and he did it in the air. No doubt about Van der Ven should have controlled it. He waited for it to bounce. He then lost the flight of the ball, lost it. The cross come in. Porro and Romero got in each other's way. Neither of them attacked the ball, and it went through to, I think it was a flick on from Eze, and Mateta finished it. So I think 3 or 4 can be to blame for that goal. To be honest with you, it was an absolute car crash, and like I said earlier, it was coming. You know, it was coming.
And Ash, anything you want to add about that goal? I mean, that was quite thorough from Nige.
Yeah.
Anything stood out for you?
I just think when it comes to Vicario, when it comes to his kicking and playing out from the back, he's definitely got a stronger foot. That's what I would say. And I think teams are starting to pick up on it. If he's on his weaker foot, it takes a little bit longer because he's not as confident. And when they do pass it back to him, because it's like a series of things where, as a goalkeeper, you hope that you can pass it out to your centre backs and it don't come back to you. But I think the centre backs put a lot of pressure on him by giving it back to him, and that kind of invited the press on. And when you invite the press on, that's when more mistakes can happen because the angles are closed down, in my opinion. So that was the first thing I noticed. Also the sun. I like to make external factors, but when that ball was, dinked over to Mickey Van der Ven, the sun on Mickey Van der Ven's side, I don't know. It looked like it could have blindsided him because there's no way, I'm talking football, you don't let the ball bounce. He let the ball bounce twice. Not once, twice. Yeah. So when you let the ball bounce twice, my guys, yeah, you know what's going to happen next. A player's going to come onto you, they're going to press you, and they're going to force an error. And that's exactly what happened. And it's not really like Mickey Van der Ven to do that. From what I've seen so far, I'm not saying like, he's a perfect baller. He's got no errors in him, but that's the first time I think I've seen that type of thing happen when he's that. But equally, Romero giving him that hospital ball. I call that a hospital ball. Why would you do that to your teammate? That is just... And as Nayed said, across the box, of all places, I said, So yeah, for me, I saw that and I said, yeah, it's coming. But yeah, Eze, hey, listen, Eze is a baller because that control was disgusting. The first time, kind of back heel flick into Mateta. And Mateta, he's a striker now. He's so confident. He just shapes his body, shoots straight away. Any half a millimeter, any chance inside that 6-yard box, he's confident. He comes alive and he's putting it in the back of the net. And when you've got a man like Eddie supplying you, do you know what I mean? More time you're gonna finish your dinner. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what that was. But yeah, we were the architects of our own downfall. We literally said, look, here's your dinner. It's up to you to finish it. Do you know what I mean? And as we all said before, it was a matter of time before it came. And the funny thing as well, like looking at the AZ game, I was looking at our centre backs in Ben Davies and Dragushin, and I was like, actually, wasn't Ben Davies, was it? Or was it Ben Davies? Was it Archie Reid? No, it was Ben Davies and Dragushin. Sorry. I was looking at our centre backs and I was like, damn, on the ball. Smelly. Yeah. And I like Dragushin, but he was smelling up the gaff on the ball. Like ball carrying at times not bad, but sometimes like I'm like, bro, no. So I was so happy to see Romero and Van der Ven back because on the ball they're pretty good. They're pretty good on the ball. Under pressure, no problem. They can take it up from the back, pause, bring it out, pass, find a pass, and they're good. But yeah, like I don't know. I saw this game and I was like, who are even these centre backs? Like, I don't know who they are.
It's a bit of overconfidence, I guess, maybe.
They don't belong to me. They don't belong to us Spurs fans because that's not the centre backs we've been seeing. And so, yeah, 100%, bro. It's 100%. Confidence can do a lot. Because I felt like Romero's confidence, and I don't know why, but his confidence was just not the same, like how it normally is on the ball. I mean, off the ball, I felt he wasn't too bad, like defending wise, like did his job. Even Mickey defending wise wasn't too bad, but on the ball is where all the problems came. All the problems came out from that back, being too deep as well, positioning, not knowing what to do with the ball before it gets to you. Because that's the number one thing for me. When the ball comes, you need to know what you're doing before it comes to you. And you need to be scanning the pitch to know your best possible option going forward. And remember, as a centre-back, you can see everything. So
do you remember, Ash and Nige, the game against Palace last year where Romero and Van der Ven were just pinging it to each other? Remember in the second half? So what has happened to that confidence of playing it out from the back? What's changed? Yes, you can put it down to Palace and the tactics and the pressure they put us under.
Different coach as well.
Different coach. But it's look, we're not playing like we have previously. We've lost confidence in playing it out from the back. Now, just before you guys comment on that, for me, there's concerns with our defence, particularly around Porro and Romero and Udogie. Okay, now we all know they can be good going forward, but there are some problems in how they defend. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Udogie is one of the most error-prone players in the Premier League. I've looked at the data, and he's at the top, right? And then we look at Porro, and he's not far behind. Yeah, Ash knows. I think you know this one, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you move on. So from that, you move on to okay. So what does Ange do then? How are we going to protect that defence more? Who have we got to come on? Obviously, we look at Bentancur, but also Bentancur. He's not that great of. I think he's got one of the worst stats for being dispossessed in the league.
Yes, he has.
So you don't turn to him. So then the better player to turn to would be Sarr, because Sarr is better with dealing with the pressing. I think he's in like the 60% of whatever that stat is. But interesting stuff, guys. I don't know if you wanted to comment on what I just said there.
I mean, do you want to go first, Nash? Yeah, Nash, you go first.
I didn't know any of that. I could obviously see with the eye that Udogie's struggling a bit. Porro's not the best defensively, but they are wing backs, right? You know, that's what they are. That's what they were for their teams before, was wing backs. So that, you know, they're not the best defensively. They're better going forward. How do we protect them? Well, you know, we've been crying out for a number 6 for a long time, but Ange doesn't play with the number 6. I don't know. I don't know how they get better. You know, they're both still quite young, especially Udogie. he will get better. And you got to remember, he hasn't had a pre-season either, so he's come in late. And he's young, so he's going to have good games and bad games. As
Have we
for
overhyped our doggy? You know, because he did start
sorry,
off well. Like, have we
probably,
overhyped
yeah. I
him?
mean,
'Cause- sorry,
probably,
Nigel.
but that's what we do, isn't it? You know, they have a couple of good games, and we tend to overhype them. Yeah, we probably have, but he's not got any. He's not got any competition, has he? Really?
That's it.
You
Good
know.
point. Yeah.
So, Spencer's a right back, but he's the one who's probably a doggy's competition, but he doesn't get a look in. So, whether a doggy's playing well or badly, he's going to play every week.
Yeah, I totally see
I
that.
agree. Some good points. I think just come on off the back of that. I think me personally, I think for Spurs, I think we play slightly better depending on the opposition to hide the deficiencies of our fullbacks / wingbacks / inverted, whatever you want to call them. I think the best thing to do is to play a pair in the six. So you play 2 6s essentially, or 6/8s, because they're all hybrids, aren't they? They're not sixes.
Yeah.
They're centre mids basically. That's what they are. And I always felt like when you've got Basuma, you play Sarr alongside him, because Sarr would hide the deficiencies of Basuma, because not to say Basuma's not mobile, but in a single pivot, you're asking him to sweep up behind both fullbacks and protect the center. Because when the doggy inverts, goes high up the pitch, or if he goes high up the pitch regardless, or Porro goes high up the pitch regardless, who has to cover? Do you know what I mean? I remember when people were battering Basuma. Why is he not in that half space? Why is he not covering the wings? Do you know what I mean? Why is he not doing that? I think it was against, was it Arsenal? One of the top teams, and they were going for him. But he needs another midfielder parallel, adjacent to him, so he can cover. Basuma can cover the left side when the doggy goes up, and then Sarr can cover the right side. Whatever way around in my hands, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it shares the responsibility defensively. Also, when playing out from the back, you don't have to rely on just the fullback, because the fullback sometimes is the outball, meaning he's the free man. When you've got 2 midfielders that drop in, then you've got more players in your build-up. You've got your goalkeeper, you can add as a first centre-back on your 2 centre-back split. So you've got 3 centre-backs, essentially. Then you've got your 2 full-backs. Then you've got your 2 6s/8s, the double pivots coming in. So then you've got now 6 players and 6 different options, or 5 different options for the keeper to pass to, and it makes it easier. When you've only got 1 midfielder, then you're going to have to ask, I don't know, Maddison or Kulu to drop in that hole to create that double pivot. But at the same time, you kind of want one of them out just in case we want to go long. So it's an extra option. We can go short or we can go long, and then teams don't know whether to press us or they don't know whether to stand off us. Because if we go long and we beat their press by going long, then we're in behind and we've like taken out a few of their players and we're on a counter attack.
So what I'm hearing, Ash, is this is it's a system problem, isn't it, with Ange's system? The personnel playing with Suma alone with Maddison and Kulu. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. There's a lot of problems there, Ash. Honestly, when we break it all down, Nige, what you said, Nige, and Ash as well, and what I've said, a lot of issues. But was it so? It probably wasn't as simple as that, making that change, was it? Just bringing on a Sarr.
I mean, I think
a lot more to it.
I don't know. I think because, like I said, it comes down to profile of player, and I don't want to take away from what Maddison was doing defensively, because I felt when we did lose the ball, Maddison did get back and he did challenge. But let's face it, physicality is not his game. Do you know what I mean? Sarr's a bit more robust. He's a bit more aggressive in the tackle, a bit more assertive. He's good at intercepting the ball, reading the game from further back. Why? Because positionally, he's further back. Do you know what I'm saying? He's further back positionally compared to Maddison. Sometimes Maddison drops in the hole. Yeah, he does to collect the ball. But more time, you'll see him in the 10 and he wants to get forward. He wants to be, whereas Sarr starts further back. maybe alongside of Basuma. And it depends on who we got, because Palace, we didn't know they were going to press us like this, if that makes sense. So maybe starting a Saar with a Basuma and maybe just having a Madison there or Kulu would have made more sense. Do you remember those first 10 games? That was the pattern. That was the three. It was Basuma, Madison, and Saar.
So
And those three players gave us balance. We had pitch coverage in Saar. Basuma, when he was confident, because, you know, his little bro was there and he was trying to teach him the roles. He was confident. He was on a half turn. He could take 2-3 players out just by his ball carrying, his dribbling. And then you have Madison that had the eye of the needle pass, playing as a number 10, you know, just behind the striker, picking up free roaming essentially. So he can go wherever he wants and then he could find a killer pass to help us. So we had that kind of midfield balance. Now, I think what Ange was trying to do, because it worked so well against, I wouldn't say West Ham, but it was games before that where I can't remember when we first introduced it, but we had two attacking 10/8s in Madison and Kulu. And the reason I think he started with those two is because it would drag players out of position. Do you know what I mean? Madison would float to the right, Kulu would float to the left. Or sometimes you see Madison and Kulu on the same side linking up. And now we're asking questions for the opposition. Does your number 6 follow Madison and Kulu and leave that 6th position open? And if you leave the middle of the pitch open, guess who can run through? Either a Johnson running through, or Son running through, or Mikey Moore, or whoever's on that wing, they could cut through. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think that was maybe the idea of it. And also, as I said, Kulusevski was a good out ball where if you go long into Kulu, it would stick to him. He wouldn't lose it. And then he would have enough about him and physicality that he could get on a half turn and then drive the ball up with his ball carrying, because he likes to run in the channels or he likes to run a little bit wider. Do you know what I'm saying? That's his MO. So I think that, but obviously you've got to look at each team and kind of figure it out. Because obviously he's, like I said, I watched the Forest game and Palace sat off Forest, Liberties. Why are they sitting off Forest and then they're pressing us? Come on, man. Be fair, man. So obviously Glasner switched it up and he got it right. He probably saw what the Brighton manager. The Brighton manager.
Yeah.
So remember, the Brighton manager, he set off us first half, battered them. And he was like, all right, cool. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to press them. As soon as they pressed us, that's when it worked. And you know what? And this is what I was going to bring up just before you go on. And maybe Ange was looking at this and thinking, maybe I could do this with my team. Basically, he had his 2 strikers. Remember, he had 2 strikers and he had 2 wingers. So what the Brighton manager had, he had Rutter. I don't remember if you remember Rutter, the kind of brown skin guy. And he had Welbeck. They were acting like the 2 focal points, the 2 strikers. And then off the 2 strikers, he had Matoma on the left. And then he had Minty, call him Minty Breath. Mente on the right, yeah. So he had 2 wingers like that. So he had a front 4. It was almost like a 2, a 4, and a 4.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, Ange looked at that and he was like, "Bro, Rich Harlison's back. I've been wanting to try this for a while. What I could have is, I could have Rich Harlison and I could have Solanke as the 2 strikers that drop off the 3 centre backs. Now, does one of the centre backs follow? There were 2 of them follow. If they don't follow, that means Solanke can get the ball, turn, and do what he wants. But if they do follow, there's a gap in the middle. Do you know what I'm saying? And the 2 profile wingers that he has, they're more direct and they're kind of running behind, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe he thought that could be a way in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, so look, let's just move on to that second half, because look, there's so much we could talk about that first half and Kulu and the Madison issue. There's so much we can say. But yeah, let's move on to that second half. Now, when it started, Palace were all over us, weren't they? They had a goal disallowed. They could have scored 2 or 3 goals. And this is just why it's so infuriating with Ange, that he saw what happened in the first half, didn't make a change. He watched it all happen up until 60 minutes. And then what's interesting, Ash, is what you said about Are you saying Ange was trying to match the Brighton tactics of going 4-on-4, and it just didn't pull off?
mean,
Is that what you're indicating?
that's what it looks like, because remember, we were trying to do the short build up. The short build up didn't quite manifest in the first half. And I felt like in the second half, tried to go a little bit more direct, a bit more, yeah. And I think that for me, that's what I reckon he tried to do. But obviously, that didn't quite come off. And yeah, well, to be fair, he didn't do that to the 60th minute. I think he continued with the team for another, what was it, 15, 20 minutes.
60 minutes he made the change, yeah.
So yeah, 20. My maths is terrible. How dare. So yeah, he persisted with the current team, and then that's when I think he tried to change tactics, because they were getting chances. They actually were getting in behind us, and he was like, you know what, if they're going direct, you can play that game. Let's try and go direct, and maybe he saw it that way.
And the problem is, Ash and Nige, is our wingers, isn't it? Who, we saw Werner come on. We had Johnson on the other side. They're not good at taking on their men. Well, Werner, he's got pace, but he's not. I don't really see him take on a man much. And then if you compare it against Brighton, you've got Matoma. It's just the levels. It's just about the levels, isn't it? And Ange, he couldn't pull it off. And when he made that change, everybody was shocked. He's taken off all the creativity, taken off Mikey Moore. He took off Kulu. He took off Maddison. And we're thinking, blimey, hold on a minute. Can't you just leave one of them on there? Because where is that creativity coming from? And you saw the game as it went. It was just passing sideways, backwards. We had no one in that team who could play the killer pass. But you look, the people are running around hard. They were working hard. Solanke was trying to drop back. Richie was running. But it just looked like we didn't have a clue. And to be honest, guys, we have to be honest, it was not good, was it? It was not good after those changes, and it didn't improve at all. Well, Nigel, what are you saying about that second half? Because
I think we could still be there now and probably not score. Taking. Listen, I understand him taking Kulu off because he was on a yellow card and he was starting to give away silly fouls, little pullbacks, little flick outs. I think he's maybe one more foul away from a red. But I would have left Maddison on. I understand why he took Maddison off and put two up front. But even for me, when he put two up front, I was expecting him then to start knocking balls up. Let's win a ball or, get the second ball. And there was nothing, Werner, I feel a bit sorry for Werner. I do, because, he has got some quality. He's just devoid of confidence. But, he can take a man on. His crossing's poor. That's the problem. Johnson, on the other hand, is not someone who's going to take on a man and beat him and put crosses in. He's someone who's going to get in the box and score goals.
Yeah, he's not a winger.
I'm
He's
just
forward,
disappointed. No, I'm just
Johnson.
disappointed. The second half, I just expected when we had two, and like I've put in the thing, the 90th minute drove me insane. It's like passing around at the back. I was like, just hit it long. Let's try and win some ball. Even if you brought Dragishin on for the last 5 minutes and stuck him up front, did something. It was almost like we were just playing the game out.
And Palace defended well. We have to be honest. Palace,
they did.
They worked hard.
Yeah.
They didn't drop off at all, did they? They were fighting. They were determined. The crowd was behind them, and we didn't test them. And I like some of those players. I think the Palace players. If you look at Mark Gahey, you have the young. I think he's a French centre back.
He is.
Ash, do you know the guy's name?
Yeah, his name is
Lacroix,
Le Croquets. Yeah. I've looked at him for a long time. I like to look at players. I looked at him about 3 or 4 seasons ago when he was a lot younger, and I was like, you know what, Spurs could do with this kid. He looks quite decent. And I can't remember what the team he was playing for. It was a German team. It was Wolfsburg. That was it. Wolfsburg he was playing for. And I was like, he's quite quick. He's strong on the ball. And I remember at the time, it was even before Saliba, I looked at him, because I remember Arsenal got Saliba and they put him on loan, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I think this guy could be better than Saliba. Do you know what I mean? I remember like making a comparison, but because he was good on the ball, he's fast, he's aggressive, he's got the height, he's got all the attributes you want as a centre back. I felt, yeah, as a free, Gay, obviously he's a capo. Like you could tell he's the one that talks, he's organizing them, you know. And the job for the young French centre back was to kick lumps out of Solanke, and he was like, be ultra tight to him, don't give him no room to turn, be ultra aggressive. And I think he did a good job of marshalling him. And then obviously Shalaba, again, a lot of people don't really rate him, but I think Shalaba's all right. You know, I've been watching him even his
Solid.
first season. I remember he made his first breakout season for Chelsea, and they played him all over, like right back, centre back, left back. And I was like, you know what? On the ball, he's quite confident. He looks decent. So when they sold him the way they did, I thought, oh, they did this guy dirty, man. But I get it. Their whole thing is about pure profit and blah blah blah. I felt as a back three, they got it right. Palace looked on it. They were sharp, and they went back to what they were doing before, a 3-4-3 that really worked. Wing backs doing well, pressing aggressively as well at times, getting high, and at times like tactically, I saw them switch over into a back four when needed, being one of the fullbacks with one of the wing backs would push high and cause damage and double up. Eze sometimes got back, you know what I mean, defended, like doing his part. So yeah, Palace did what they needed to do to get over the line. Glasner did his thing. So yeah, you know what, it is what it is. It is what it is. They pressed effectively and they did their thing. They deserve the win.
They did deserve the win. Nigel, is there anything you wanted to add on that?
Well, there was a question about the away form, but I think it's kind of been answered. Is our away form a concern or just bad luck? If it's a concern, what can Ange do to change it? Consistency is a problem, but I kind of think Ash kind of answered it by saying, maybe playing Sarr in away games, having a bit more of a defensive structure away from home, because I think playing Kulu and Madison at home is going to win most games, isn't it? It's away from home that we got the problem. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I agree. It's the way from home is the problem.
I think normally, like when we play out the back, this is just me. I don't know. I've have stinkers playing out the back. So, but I've seen when we do it right, we look exceptionally well, which means we can do it. Do you know what I mean? We can play out the back. That game, we got completely wrong. And there needs to be a time when we're like, all right, we're going to revert. When it's just not working, we just revert to going along. You need to have that, or different ways of building up from the back, because it's not like you have to go through like just the right side or just the left hand side or this midfielder. There's different patterns of play you can do to kind of build up from the back, and we just need to revert. And the players need to manage it on the pitch and talk to each other and say, look, let's do this. Do you know what I mean? Because the manager obviously will give instruction, and like he doesn't do that much, but it's for the players now, Vicario, to say, look, guys, this is too much pressure. Let's do something a little bit different. And then that's what kind of gets you out of these sticky situations. You don't just keep inviting the pressure on. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, make it make sense. So
do you think it's like Ange almost like expecting the players to get themselves out of it, and the players maybe thinking, well, we're waiting for Ange to give us instructions. So it's almost like no communication now.
No, I think
players are waiting for Ange.
No, I could have seen this wrong, but I swear, yeah, when Kulusevski had that first challenge and it was like a head injury in it and he went down, I see Porro going off to the sidelines having a word with Ange in it. And Ange is really stubborn in the way he wants his teams to be set up. He wants them to stick to the principles, playing out from the back, a bit like a De Zerbi. De Zerbi, you would never see De Zerbi go long. Do you know what I'm saying? Only recently you're seeing Pep go long. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But most attacking or teams that have possession, they build up from the back, whether it be slow or fast. They think if you go long, it's a 50-50. You have less risk of holding on to possession. And if you lose possession, it's a higher turnover. Therefore, that team has more chance of having the ball in your half, and then they can score a goal, and that puts your team at risk. They want to avoid that risk, and that's the reason why they use the goalkeepers as a third centre back. It's the reason why they play short passes. Short passes means more control. Long passes means more risk. So that's what they're trying to do. And so I saw Porro go over to him, and Andrew was like, he was saying like, I want to go long, because I think Vicario actually tried to go long, but when he went long, it went off for a throw on. Do you know what I'm saying? We lost possession. So when it went off for a throw on, like Ange probably saw that as Cooley went down as an injury, had a word with Porro, was like, no, keep it the same. Don't change it. Don't change it. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think ultimately that's where it all went wrong. We carried on playing the way out of the back, made mistakes, and then we got punished. So I do understand the process and the logic and the philosophy of it. And I do understand that there needs to be engaged management. And I do understand with the players, they need to be executing it better. But at the same time, it's like time and place. You need to know when and when not to do it. Do you know what I mean? At certain times, you're like, they're just not on it today. They're just having the stinkers. And the pressing is getting to them. They're not being able to shake it off. You know, like sometimes if you have a bad game, you can shake it off. Like, you're like, all right, cool. I had a heavy touch. I had a bad pass, but the next one will be fine. It's like that wasn't getting into their head. Like they weren't having those type of internal talks in their head, if that makes sense. And that's where we crumbled. And it looks like typical Spursy. So I don't know if this is just a one-off or if this is a thing where we're not going to be able to play out from the back ever again. I doubt it. I doubt the latter very much.
If we look at old school managers, and not just old school managers, a lot of managers do it. They go back to basics, don't they, with defending? You know, there's clearly a defensive issue right now at Spurs if you look at these away defeats. But Ange doesn't do that, does he? He sticks to the same way of playing, takes the risks from playing out from the back. Something has got to change up fast, because if this rate continues away from home, I would be saying like, okay, against anyone decent, okay, fair enough, but it's happening against the lower end teams now. So it is a concern, isn't it, guys? It is.
Is it a thing where the level of the Premier League and the teams that we come up against, is it a thing where you'd say they're improving, or would you just say, you know what, we should be better than them? Not arrogance, but like it's a thing where we shouldn't be, defending against these teams should be like, it shouldn't be a thing. And if I look at AZ, right, Alkmaar, who we played on Thursday, compared to Palace, I would say Palace are levels ahead of them. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean by the strength of the league. They've got Eze and Mateta. Okay, maybe not Sarr. I still think Sarr can do a thing on his day. I remember when he was playing for Watford in the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
he was a problem. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to talk about Sarr illy. You know what I mean? On his day, he's not bad. He's a fast, aggressive forward. I don't really call him as a winger, but the way they play their forwards, they play them really narrow, don't they? Do you know what I'm saying? So when they press free against our two centre backs, we're almost outnumbered. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's a thing where, yes, maybe it's a quality issue, but I expect our centre backs to be able to handle that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I think highly of Mickey van der Ven. I know Romero has had lapses of concentration and had what we call bozo moments. Everyone, that's the new buzzword at the moment. You know what I'm saying? But I still think, like, I think he can do better, man. I expect better from Romero. And the next game we play, not Man City necessarily, because I'm not sure if he will start. I don't know who will start in that game, but against Villa, if he has that same type of performance, then yeah, it's not looking good.
The Ange's system is failing, right? And what it is, and that what's happening now is the players are losing confidence, and they're looking a lot worse than they actually are. They're not bad players overnight. So, listen, man, that Ange is a concern for me, because we're being out tacticked by, the likes of Glasner, the Brighton manager. Even if you think back to the first game of the season, Cooper, Leicester, they even mixed it up in the second half and could have won it. It's really concerning for me, and we'll come on to Ange in a minute. Nige, any more takes on what me or Ash has said?
No, the away form is a real concern to me. 3 wins in 2024, which I'm sure everyone's heard. 2 of them against teams that were down to 10 men. Okay, we were winning the games at the time. But we have got to improve, and Ange's tactics does concern me. I get the playing out from the back, I really do. And Ange come out when he first come in, didn't he, and said, this is the way I play. It's not on the players, it's on me. So in that case, when we lose games, we can't blame the players. It's on Ange because he's the one who's demanding that they play that way. It's a concern, but this is why I want to bring this stat up, which I find really interesting. We are the 3rd highest scorers in the league. We have the 4th best defence. So why are we losing so many away games? And I think, like I said, we probably discussed it: system, tactics, individual errors. Is it something deeper, or is it all of the above? I think it's probably a bit of all of the above, really, isn't it?
Well, interesting. Ash, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's just a modern style of play at the moment. It's not like Ange's system is unique to world or Premier League football. Do you know what I mean? That kind of, as you were saying, Nige, playing out from the back. You look at Brighton. Brighton have been doing that since what's his face? The Brighton. I forgot his name, man. What was the guy before the Zerbi?
Potter.
Yeah. Potter's been doing that, playing out from the back. Liverpool's Klopp, he was doing it from playing out from the back. As I said before, Pep playing out from the back, he was doing it. And sometimes it doesn't work. You've seen even the lower teams. I think Pep, everyone's copying Pep. It's mad. Because I've even seen Ipswich and Southampton try to play it out from the back. And sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. And sometimes it comes down to the level and quality of the player. I don't know if I should beat Ange over the head with a stick because our centre backs or our team can't play out the back when a good half of the Premier League are actually playing it out from the back. Am I making sense? Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I do adhere to what Dan is saying, and it is concerned, especially the waveform tactically. He is getting, I feel like he's almost learning on a job at times when a manager, it's not quite working. They quickly tweak it, and I'm like, so Ange, what have you got now?
It's like what Dan says here, isn't it?
I'm like,
look what Dan says in the comment. It shows he has no experience in real league. I mean, Scottish Premier League. It's looking like that, man. It does. Obviously.
I mean, like I said, obviously, listen, it's gonna get real techie for him. Yeah, after the Man City game, if he doesn't get the right result, followed up by the Villa game, I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of eyes on him because he put the pressure on himself. So he's gonna have to find a way and figure out tactically a way to get over the line, wherever this team or other teams or positions throw up against him. Do you know what I mean?
And Ash, sorry, just to stop you there, because it's kind of naturally led into this, isn't it, Nige? Are you okay to go with this?
You go for it, mate.
It's this time, Ash. Ange Watch. He's under close inspection.
100%.
On this show.
100%.
We always have to talk about this man. We can't do anything about Levy right now. We can't change that. But what we can do, and we have to put a lot of focus on our manager, and we will be doing it week in. Don't get me wrong. If he does something good, we will be praising it. We'll be discussing it. But back to, I'll let you carry on, Ash. I didn't want to. Sorry for interrupting you. But
no, you're right.
We're on.
And I think so he should be. And coming into this show, I was like, that was the first thing I was going to say. But obviously, I didn't know how the show was going to go, and I was like, after that Palace game, I'm not going to lie, I was rattled because, as Nigel was saying, you say certain things, and you're like, yeah, I don't mind, if we get a good cup run and if we finish here, but then actually when it actually happens, and the result doesn't go your way, and you're like, yeah, I don't mind if that, and then that Palace one, hey, that got me. I can't lie. That I said, listen,
Got
you
all of
are
us.
under close inspection. I am watching you right now. You are under the fraud alert. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
We've got a register right now.
Yeah, let's say it how it is, Ash. Say it how it is.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. That I said, I don't know how I'm gonna, because even after the A's game, right? I went back. I hadn't been on We Are Tottenham TV for ages. I hadn't done like a fan show, like jumped on their show and said something for ages, yeah. But I just felt like they didn't have a lot of fans on. A lot of fans were coming on. They were like, why are people being so negative? Everyone needs to calm down. I said, no, I need to say my piece, because I just felt at home we should be taking them to pieces. And I've got questions for everyone now. I'm looking at Bergvall different, because I was praising him hard. Like, I thought he was gonna like give Madison trouble. Do you know what I mean? And I said, look, I said to Madison, I said, listen, we were saying before Bergvall, Madison's place is under threat. He's in trouble. Do you know what I mean? He's gonna have to buck his ideas up. Do you know what I mean? Now I'm looking at, I'm thinking, Bergvall, I don't know if you're anywhere close to Madison. They were like, no, Bergvall had an all right game, blah, blah, blah. But the point I'm making, like, not to get onto Bergvall, the point I'm making, that whole game, I was not impressed. Like, for all the players on that pitch. Obviously, we got a penalty to win the game. But I'm like, I don't like winning games like that. And I didn't feel like we created and did a lot of damage for them in that particular game. So I felt away, like I felt raw. I need to come and say something. Followed by the Palace result, I said, no. Am I dreaming? I couldn't believe it. So I said, nah, yeah, listen, that kind of threw me off the edge. And I said, this manager, I'm watching him. He's under close. He's under close expectation.
There's no hiding, man. There's no hiding. It's the results show it. The results this season.
There's no hiding. It's like like even that the Brighton loss. Obviously, that was bad because we were 2-0 up, and it just felt like that whole Spursy kind of soft belly, whatever. Like Newcastle was one thing, because we see the Newcastle loss. At least I felt like we were in it. We were in the mix. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Even though we lost, like, and some people argue, oh, but we didn't create chances and we didn't do this and blah, blah, blah. I still felt like we had the ball in the right area of the pitch, meaning like we were troubling their box. Like, maybe it wasn't clear cut, but I felt like I didn't feel mad. But the other losses, I was going away like, nah, this can't be us. This can't be it. Do you know what I mean? And for me, that's when I had to say, look, man, I don't want to say it, but this guy, I'm watching him closely. And so we should, though. And I always say, like, we should be able to critique where needed critique. And as you said, Dan, you said, look, if there's praise, we're here to praise. But listen, if there's losses, look, every fan, they have their own expectations. And I think that's where we might differ, innit? Like, Dan, you're like old school, innit? So, like, you're no nonsense. When you're saying playing out from the back and we're looking sloppy and we're not defending, you're like, what type of football is this? Like, we're in an era where 4-4-2, you know what I'm saying? You don't do none of it. You get rid of it. You know what I mean? If you're under pressure, you knock it out for a throw, or you knock it off for a corner, or you hoof it down the line. None of this passing it sideways and trying to build. Nah, forget all of that. Do you know what I mean? Give it into. You want your wingers to be wingers. You know what I mean? You want your fullbacks to overlap like Gary Neville. You know, like that was into the box.
Ash, there is that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is that, Ash. But it's also looking at the quality of player we have. And
100%.
Yeah, it's like if you had a number 6 who could control games, you know, keep possession, keep the team calm, you know, when we're under pressure, you know, no nonsense defender. 1 out of the 2 at the back is fine. Normally Romero is that player, but he looks like he's lost confidence. So there's a lot to it. And when I say about kind of dropping back and, you know, not just booting it up, I mean, we don't even have to do it the whole game. It's just for that period.
I get. I was talking exaggerations, but I get.
No, it's fine. Yeah,
there's a time and place when, like, all right, cool. When shorts not working, we're looking a bit, you know, shaky. Like, let's make the exception. Let's go long for this particular one. Let's relieve the pressure off the back line. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's not fight the press on. Let's get up the pitch and then let's move on forward, because that's how you beat their press. But I was saying, in terms of like the number 6 role is such a unique role, and I feel like ever since, because they're never back growing up, there was no 6, bro. Let's be real. There was not, like Makalele. Remember, Mourinho brought Makalele in, innit? And he was the first man to bring the DM in. There was no DM growing up, bro. There was no. Obviously, you had your Roy Keanes and that and Vieira's, but they were centre mids.
They were up and down.
Vieira was box to box. Do you know what I mean? You didn't have a man that just sat and maybe like in Germany, I think is Beckenbauer, like a sweeper. Do you know what I'm saying? But very rarely, like in the Prem I'm talking about, did you have a man that would just sit. So the whole 6th position, and remember, Makalele never used to. He was more of like a destroyer type. Do you know what I mean? Recover some blades of the grass, but he was more positional. He wasn't a dictator. Like, it's very hard, especially in modern football, to find like a Rodri where you get a player that's got all the attributes, where he can be nasty, he can break play up, he can be controller, he can get box to box under pressure, like you said, can put the foot on the ball, control things. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where the double pivot was invented, because you have one player that has more characteristics or more of a profile of defensive, and then you've got one more of a player that's better on the ball. And then that's when Pep came in. He was like, all right, it's not just about double pivot now. I'm going to get one of my fullbacks to help with the 6 that allows one of the other midfielders, like a Rodri, to push up. I don't know if you notice, a Kanji and Stones, they push into the 6 role certain times into the midfield, and they help, because no one's really, even though we praise Rodri, even Rodri needs help. When you're seeing a Kanji and you're seeing other players, and even it's not Walker that goes up. It used to be Zinchenko for Man City. Zinchenko used to be their left back, used to invert, and then he would help them progress the ball at the pitch. And now you see with Arsenal, Rice, you see Rice at the back. He's not a really progressive passer deep in that pitch. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So that role is not just our problem in terms of like, it's simple that, we just need a 6 to come in, and you know, it's quite a hard role to fulfill, and we need a few players, and the manager's got to be smart and who he puts in there. And I think that's why you're seeing maybe Porro is really good in ball progression. So playing those, like, like the Trent, you got Trent, he fires the ball over the top diagonal, can put the ball down the channel. Do you know what I mean? Because his passing range is so great, even taking shots from outside the box when he's higher up. Like, so when we invert Porro, is sometimes to help the ball progression, to help us to get up the pitch in that midfield at times. Do you know what I mean? So it's a mixed bag, is what I'm saying, bro. It's
Ash, remember that player? I think when I came onto your channel in August, we were talking about this 6. I don't know if you can remember. It's been a lot of shows since, but there was a player that you brought up in the midfield. I think he was a French one. Don't know if you can remember, a box-to-box kind of defensive type midfielder. Remind me, who was it again? You were looking at thinking this would be a good.
Crackeré plays for Lyon. He's about 24 years old. Has played as a defensive midfielder, has played as a centre midfielder, has played as an 8 or a 10. Sorry, has played as a 10.
What was his name? What was his name, Ash?
I think his name was Crackeré. So he plays for Lyon.
Yeah.
So if you go to transfer market, and you just go on to Lyon squad, you type in Lyon, and then you look for the players.
Yeah.
Could have, if he's French, he's the French kid I was talking about, because I looked at him. I brought him back up again, because some players I look over again. So I've looked at him 2 to 3 years ago, and I think I've re-brought him back up to see if he was still doing bits and bobs. But that's what I think Ange says. He doesn't look for necessarily a 6. He wants a player that can do all the roles, because at times you need a player that can progress the ball deep, and then you need a player that can be physical at times, and you need a player that can carry the ball and do like what Sarr does. Do you know what I mean? Because if you think about it, Sarr is a different player to what Bentancur is or Basuma is, and players complement each other in different ways, and they help each other out. But I think that's the reason why it'd be great if you can get a midfielder that can tick quite a few of the boxes. Not saying all of them, because it's quite hard to get a destroyer, and then with a destroyer, someone that's got football IQ, because football IQ is a whole different realm. Like knowing where to be on the pitch positionally, that's something in itself. Do you know what I mean? Because then you know when to intercept, when to tackle, and maybe you don't have to run around like a headless chicken because you just know you've got the intelligence, you can figure it out. You understand the geography of the pitch. Do you know what I mean? So, and then again, there's midfielders that are really graceful on the pitch, like Bentancur. I like the way he carries the ball, he dribbles, his touch, his close control. And then I like Basuma for the same reasons. Do you know what I mean? Bentancur's passing range I kind of like as well, even though lately he hasn't been demonstrating. I don't know why, but he's someone that I feel. I remember when he first came, Winks came off, he came on, and Bentancur passed at home, and he sprayed a ball, and the whole stadium was like, "Oh, that's what we've been missing," kind of thing. It was that class. So it's the whole package almost. If we could get that, it's not easy, but it'd be great if we could get something like that.
Oh, so frustrating, man. So frustrating, isn't it?
As a
Watching
fan,
this team right now. So frustrating because the talent's out there, Ash, and I know you do a lot of the scouting of the players, and there's so many players we could have got in that summer transfer window. And look, let's not drag it on too long. And Nige, you haven't spoke for a while, so before Nige, you jump back in, Nige. I just think, you know, whilst we're talking about Ange, and it is on Ange, the transfer window, because he's agreed for these players to sign the young players and Solanke. And I just do feel that we should have signed so much better and given Ange a better chance and the team a better chance this season. Oh, man, it's frustrating. Nige, anything you want to say about Ange before we move on to the next question?
I just think he's constantly seems to be one game away from disaster. You know, we win a couple of games, everything's great. Yeah, I see what Ange Ball. I see Ange Ball. It's going well. Yeah, I see what he's doing. And one game later, and it's, you know, he's got to go. I do think the next 4 or 5 weeks are massive for him, but I feel like I've been saying that all season. You know, every 6 games is like next 6 games, next 6 games. But you know what? I fully expect us to beat Villa at the weekend because that's what Spurs do. You know, I think at home we're a good side. So, yeah, listen, it's the away form for me. If Ange can pick up the away form, I think everything will be fine. But he's definitely under pressure at the moment.
Nige, I know. Do you want to, before we kind of end the show, should we just quickly cover the Man City game and the Villa game? Obviously, about 5 minutes on each or something like that? Because obviously, Ash, what time's your show starting?
I don't worry about my show. I'll turn up late, man. They can start without me. It's all about this show right now, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe, man. Get onto this show. This is where it's at, man.
Fair enough. Cheers, man. All right, all right. Nigel, is there anywhere you wanted to take it before we jump onto those matches? Because obviously you had the plan tonight.
Happy to go on to the Man City game now Wednesday evening. And obviously Pep has been speaking and he's been saying that there's a good chance that he's going to play some kids. Is that mind games, or do you think he will play a weakened team?
You're asking me. I personally think he doesn't have the choice. I mean, normally I would say it's mind games, but he's got an injury crisis at the moment, by the looks of it. Now, it started off with the young guy, Oscar Bob, early in the season when he got that fatal injury, wasn't it? That was a player that was just going to be his season to get blooded in, to get regular minutes. And then the Bruyne from last season, he's been in and out, in and out, in and out. Do you know what I mean? He was a player that Haaland used to look for and rely on, getting in between the lines, finding those balls, those through balls where Haaland likes to be on the shoulder and running behind. You take the Bruyne out, what type of profile of midfielder do they have that's similar to De Bruyne that's going to feed De Bruyne? They don't really feed Haaland. They don't really have that, do they? When you take De Bruyne are at that squad, they're kind of missing that kind of chief creator in that position. So you take out Oscar Bob, you take out, and then obviously they were missing Foden for quite a while. Foden's back, but other injuries when you're looking at it, you're seeing Jack Grealish, Doku, two of their main wingers. They used to rotate them both out. I'm like, whoa, devastation in the location, as my boy would say. But you've got Haaland. He was seen out watching the game, not sure if he's going to be involved, because at first I thought he was going to go to the Ballon d'Or awards, and then apparently he didn't turn up, and he was spotted at one of his mates' games watching it back in Norway. So there's rumors that they're not sure if he will start. But yeah, going back to the injury situation, Rodri obviously was a massive injury that happened. He had the old is it the meniscus of the knee, the ACL, the MCL, one of the L's, one of the L's.
One of the L's, yeah.
Terrible.
Again, like that's a big part of their midfield missing. And I think because he had so many new injuries in the Grealish and the Doku, I think that shook him up. He was like, I don't want to risk it. I've won this competition enough now. I'm more prioritizing the league, and I'm going to play the kids. That's what Wenger used to do, isn't it? For Arsenal, he used to play the kids all the time, and keep the other team fresh until it got to the latter stages. Do you know what I'm saying? And then like quarterfinals, he would like bring on the seniors. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pep did the same in that one. Like he said, you know what, I'm going to throw. And the kids, to be fair, if you look at what Ipswich Town are doing with, I used to know it as Rory the Lap, but his son.
Is it his son?
Yeah, it's his son, bro.
No way.
His son, bro. Hey, he looks like a baller. I'm not gonna lie. If Spurs said, "Oh, you know what, we're going in for him," I wouldn't be mad. I'm just saying. But yeah, no. So far, I'm not being a bit reactionary there, but I've watched him a few games, and I like what I see. That's what I'm saying. And he's from the Man City academy, so Palmer came from the academy. He's kind of all right, you know. He's kind of doing his thing down at Chelsea, putting them on their back. So I'm looking at the academy. And I'm thinking, yes, it's not too bad. I think even Rodgers had a little stint at the academy at one point. I know Porro was at the academy as well. Come to think of it,
yeah, he was.
So City youngsters, they might have to get a run out, and they might be all right. That's what I'm gonna say. So I'm not looking at it like turning my nose up and thinking, yeah, we should get the points, we should get the job done. Their kids will cause a threat, and they know. They've been brought up in the system. I forget their director's name. That's going to be leaving at the end of the season. But they've brought up in the system where they play a certain way, playing out from the back, holding on to the ball, playing possession style football, that the Pep way. So they're going to fit in like a glove. And they've got quite a few youngsters in different positions, centre mid that can play attacking mid. I know they've got McAtee. They've got O'Reilly as well, one of their youngsters. They've got quite a few guys. Braithwaite.
Yeah.
They got a few different options.
Oh, you've got a good memory, Ash. Remembering all of them. Yeah, remembering all their young players. If you looked at them recently.
I think it's because I looked at them recently. I think that's why it is. My memory is not
a lot. You think you named.
But okay, Rico Lewis though. We all know Rico Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Rico Lewis. They blooded him in, and like they did with Foden. They put him in slowly, a few games here and there, few coming off the bench, and then they started him in a few cups, and then now you're seeing him as a main first teamer. And he obviously got the England call up not too long ago as well. But yeah, their youngsters be doing things, bro. Like so, like yeah, I'm not looking at Man City with all those players missing, thinking they're not gonna turn up. I think they will, and I think Pep's gonna trust them. I know he's downplaying it, saying, you know, I'm not playing anyone serious, but you know, we still got.
He can't play a whole team of kids. He can't.
No, he won't. He's gonna play like I reckon, like a Gundogan will play, Phil Foden will play. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a few. I think maybe maybe a Kanji or Ake will play. I think Ake will play. Ake, or maybe Stones, because I think Stones came on He didn't start. I think he came on against Southampton. I know he definitely came on against, was it Villa? No, not Villa. What game was it? They got the last minute goal with Stones. It was Wolverhampton, the
The
weekend.
winner,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Stones that got the last minute winner. So I
Mm.
think Stones being brought back slowly in, so he might feature. Hasn't played that many minutes, over the season. So maybe he might partner Ake as a centre back. I'm thinking maybe not. We don't know. We'll see. But they're gonna have a few first teamers, like you said. Yeah, 100%. A few.
Basically, whatever side they have is probably going to be more than enough to give us a really good game.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
we're gonna have to be at our best
But
to get through.
if
And
we don't have Haaland in there, I'll be slightly more confident. Bernardo Silva on his day, I don't know if he's fit or not, if he's out injured. But again, he's a player that I've seen cause havoc when he's ready. I'll tell you who will be playing. They've got is it Savio?
Yeah.
Jeez.
yeah,
What a
yeah, he's not bad.
he's not bad. I say he's not, I'd have him at my club.
But it all depends who Spurs play as well, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
are we going to play a weekend side? And,
this is where I leave it to
is
you
Gray
guys.
going to play?
I don't think we'll play, because I heard Ange say something that he needs to because like the way we play, or the way we're meant to play with high intensity. So that's the
Yeah.
reason why you would rotate the squad. Not to say that rotating the squad is necessarily the best thing to do in this situation, because we want to progress in the cup. Like, we want to get the job done, right? So you kind of want to play your one of your stronger teams. So I don't know. What do you guys reckon? Who do you think we go? What do you think the back line would be? Do we go with a strong back line, or do they need rest? Because obviously the doggy, he's picked up a few muscle injuries when we played him too much.
Right. Okay. Shall I go first, Nige?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
So there's two things here. This is what I want to do, and then there's
Yes.
what I think Ange is going to do.
Amen,
Right.
brother. Talk language.
So listen, if it was me, I'll be picking the strongest. I'll be going for it. I don't care. Maybe one or two changes based on injuries, possibly. But look, for me, this game is a must-win. We need to get through. Something needs to lift us as fans. We need to be able to, celebrate something.
So, but
So for
Dan,
me-
just on that,
yeah.
that, before you go any further, pause.
Yeah.
Do you think if we were to go full strength in this game, right, and
Yeah.
we win, right, and these
Mhm.
players are knackered now, they got to play Aston Villa. It's not a small game. Aston Villa's a big game,
Tough game.
and we lose that game, right?
Mm.
We lose that game. Man United win their game, right? As bad as they've been, Man United go above us, and we swap places with Man United, and we end up, they're like 14th or 13th.
14th, yeah.
They're only 2 points behind.
Yeah, that's how the table is. You win, you're in the top 6. You lose, you're in the bottom half. It's just that flippant. That's how us fans are like. All of a sudden, yes, we progress to a cup, but we're languishing in 14th. And now the board, like, I don't know. They're thinking, raw, that Europe looking a bit techie. I don't think we're looking a bit far away. Would you risk it? Would you risk like having because the fans will fall out, even though we've done well in a cup. Like, fans will say one thing. We're like, yeah, we want to go well in a cup, but we're in the league. You see us in the league more than you do see us in the cup. Am I making sense by that?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
More of no, don't get it twisted. We will act terribly if we lose in a cup game. We get knocked out, we will lose our heads. But at the same token, if we were to lose to Villa, end up 14th, maybe get like points against Ipswich, but then lose the next game because we've got Man City again, and play the full strength Man City, then lose that, and then we're further back in the table again, and we're like on the wrong side of that Premier League. We're outside that top 10.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have that same energy? This is what I'm trying to say about the rotation thing. Would you still say like, we need to play full strength? Doesn't matter.
We can't afford to play a second strength team against Manchester City. You might as well not turn up. We saw what happened against Coventry. We saw what happens in the Europa League, where we're struggling to beat these teams. It's suicide, Ash. If you don't play, you can make a couple of changes. I'm not saying that. Maybe Spence coming in, possibly.
So you basically play Mickey Van der Ven, knowing that like his hamstrings twice in 1 week could be a lot of pressure, on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's out for the season, like, we win it, but it's at the cost of his hamstrings, and then how vital Mickey Van der Ven is.
You're testing me, Ash. You really are testing me, yeah.
I'm just asking questions.
No, it's fun. It's fun. You're really, really pushing me. I like it. No, man. We do need to go. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm not thinking about Villa. Let's worry about Villa at the weekend and who we've got left and who's fit, who's not fit. Yeah, we're at home. Yeah. Then we got another game against Galatasaray, haven't we, in the week? So, man, listen. This is, for me, we have to beat Manchester City, best team possible, and it's going to be tough. But I've got a sneaky feeling that if we do that, I think we can get through, because Man City, with the youngsters dropping some of their first team players, doesn't sound like Pep's up for this cup, does it?
No.
He's not up for this. I think he'd be happy to go out. So there's a win there. Sorry, man. Would you say no?
He's used to it. He wins it every other year. It's just
it's not
Doesn't
exciting.
value it like how we value it. When you've I don't know, it's like when you haven't had something for a long while. Like, I gotta say, crackers. Like, if you haven't had crackers for a long time and you're starving, you know what I'm saying, and someone offers you a cracker, that cracker tastes.
How would he answer that question, Ash?
How would you answer that question?
No, how would crackers answer that question? You ask me.
I
think he would say full strength, wouldn't he? I think. Look, man. We need to just win that game, get through, give us something to get behind. Worry about Villa at the weekend. Nige, what are you thinking, man? Are you where are you at? And that,
Ash, what I was
as well, man.
I was thinking full time. I was thinking go full strength, and then Ash shared about Villa and then Man City, and I'm just like, if we, and I'm thinking really negatively here, but we played our full strength side against City and still lost, and then we had, and then Villa come up and suddenly like Van der Ven's not fit and play. I don't know. I think it could be worth mix and matching a little bit, bringing Dragishin in. I wouldn't play Davis, but maybe play Dragishin.
So what, Dragishin Romero? Because we've done that before.
Dragishin Romero, yeah.
Done that before.
And Spence. I'm not sure about Gray. I would play Porro, to be fair. Not 100% keen on Gray at right back. But midfield is kind of, we can mix and match anyway, because they don't always all start. So I think midfield would be fine. And I think Mikey Moore might get another start. And, again, Solanke or Richarlison, either one. And I would have thought Johnson will probably start. He tends to play every game when he's fit, So, yeah, I'd mix it up a little bit, but I'd play as strong as I could, but rest a few players that maybe we needed to rest. Maybe I wouldn't play Maddison. I wouldn't play Van der Ven. But other than that, I'd go pretty strong. Problem is, if we lose to Villa and then lose to City, we could be 15th or 16th by then. And then
after Villa, we've got Ipswich, I think.
Yeah, we've got Ipswich in
between.
Yeah.
So
we got City at home. Yeah.
Ash, what are you saying then? What are you doing? You're Ange. You're the manager tomorrow. What are you picking there? Go on, give us the lineup.
Yeah, pretty much what Nigel's saying. But if need be, I would throw on the superstars. Like, if we're struggling, do you see what I'm saying? I think logically, you don't want to mix it too much, because then there's too much change. It kind of breeds inconsistency, breeds unfamiliarity. You lose, I always talk about rhythm. You know what I mean? You kind of need that kind of patterns in the game. You need to turn to your left. All right, cool. My man likes it slightly in front of him, or he likes it to toes. Cool, I get it. He likes it on the back foot. Cool. Do you understand? So having that relationship on the pitch for me is important. Not taking too many players out. That's what I do. But in reality, in real life, I have a feeling that we might just change that back four, and for the reasons that I was saying to you earlier, Dan, for the reasons that yes, he wants to put a competitive side out to win every game, but he also wants to compete on all fronts. So he's looking at the next game as well as the game that's in front of him. So I honestly think if he does play what he did like he did on Thursday, the same team, yeah, that could be a strong possibility. I could see that happening. I'll be real, and for that reason that if it was any style of different type of football, and it was a different type of manager, I would say there's no excuses. But I think it's the intensity that he expects from those players, and that's why he might hook a Madison off, because Madison injury prone. Like this time last season, I think November or something, he got injured, didn't he? He got injured.
Yeah.
So I think he might be aware of that and thinking, maybe that's why I take Madison off 60 minutes or 70 minutes or 80 minutes, because he's the one that always gets sacrificed all the time. They always take Madison off. They never play him for a full 90. And I don't know if it's because his ankles are glass and he's his featherweight. And that's why we sacrifice him. But he is our chief creator. And if he loses him, then he hasn't got a player of his ilk, and I think, well, in my opinion, to replace him. Because I think even though Bergvall is, for me, he's very raw. Do you know what I mean? He's not quite the level of Madison yet. Not quite. He's just not the level of Madison yet, in my opinion. He hasn't demonstrated that to me where I could say, yeah, Madison, you take a rest. And also in the league, because when we did play Crystal Palace, if you're going to do a like for like, you would have thought he would have trusted Bergvall to come on. He didn't do it. He hasn't played him in the Prem. He's only played him in the Europa, in the cup competitions. So that tells me a story in itself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
for me, I would, like I said, I would 1 or 2, you know what I mean? Because I want to take it cup seriously. But I also, and I go back to this, guys, I'm not privy to what happens behind the scenes. I'm not. I don't know if he's got a knock on the door. You starting? What's your lineup? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't know if they're saying to him, you need to prioritize the league, bro. Yeah. Otherwise, you have us to not the facts. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. Like
Nige likes this one, Ash. What you said there, and that's what Nige thinks a lot.
Yeah. 300 grand for winning the League Cup, or an extra 6 or 7 million for finishing higher in the Premier League. It's,
Bro,
you know, Levy's gonna.
Bro, yeah. You see them sponsorships, you see them certain roles in the stadium that they need to set out to certain companies. Like it's all off the back advertisement and marketing and money coming in. Where you finish, it's not even just like you get the prize money for finishing that position. You do, you know, like that's the reason why Chelsea are able to outspend us. I know they also sell the academy, young kids, whatever, but where you finish dictates how much money will fall down to you, because the TV rights will go up. Because guess what? The TV people, they want to have your team playing on Sky Sports. They want you on TNT. Do you know what I'm saying? Then the ad people pay for the space in between the halftime commercials or before and after. That's how they make their money. That's why where you finish is important to the people upstairs. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they know their revenue is dictated by that. Do you know what I mean? And if the revenue's not coming in from there, from the league position, then we're only going to see things like happen like this season. One big signing, well, I call it one big signing because I don't really cast Archie Gray inside that, even though he was a big chunk of the money. 40 mil is a lot. But you get one senior signing in Solanke, which is 65 mil. Do you understand? And we don't spend big in other areas which are key, which we needed to do, because Ange said it. The problem is in the forward line. He said it. It's not like he didn't say it. And then what did we get? One striker. He didn't actually address the wingers. He said it. I saw him at ITV Sport, you know. I was listening. He was like, oh, I like this player. Oh, I like that player. Oh, what an amazing player. I was like, me and Ash could get on. We've got similar tastes. You know what I'm saying? What did we get? Solanke. All right. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. So Yeah, I'm not gonna say no more, bro. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't want to talk too much because we'll be here for another hour, bro. I'll be honest.
Yeah, and listen, look, there's so much we can talk about, man. Honestly, look, the pressure is on, isn't there? Massive pressure. So many questions, so many ways ways this can go. Look, let's have a quick prediction, and then we'll move on to the Villa, and then wrap it up for the night. I think.
In
I
life,
think we will draw the game and win on penalties.
Spurs win on penalties. Oh
Yeah.
my! If Spurs win on penalties, oh my! Can you imagine Spurs winning on penalties in my
Amazing,
lifetime? Wow, wow! Against a Man City. Then again, it's the kids in it, so I hear it. Yeah, I can see us. Sometimes when things go real bad and we need a performance, we somehow turn up in it. For some reason at home as well. Whether it'll be a performance we need, I don't know, but we possibly get the job done. I'll go for back in the team, back in the boys, and I'll say we'll get it done. 2-1, 2-1 Spurs. We'll concede the goal. 100% we'll concede the goal.
We
Come
will.
on. This is what we do now.
Yeah.
But I think on the day, like, we should have enough to kind of swing the game in our fortune. And if you guys are right in what Pep's saying, like Pep's saying, look, I've had hundreds of crackers. Do you know what I mean? I've had hundreds of pizzas. I don't care about this pizza anymore. Like, pizza doesn't taste. I want my Chinese. I want my steak. Like, and he's treating a cup competition like that. Then maybe he doesn't make those big changes, and we end up winning the game because he doesn't care about it.
What do you think,
So,
Dan?
yeah, so we've got Son's out. He's not fit. He's not back until the weekend. Wilson's just picked up a long-term injury. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Long
look, I
term,
think
short term.
long, serious. It's a serious
It's
one.
serious, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
So
the
is
news
that-
broke today.
So I didn't read it properly because I saw it and I just assumed maybe another 3-4 weeks. But
No.
you're saying long term.
It's serious, yeah.
That means we need to dip into the market then. I
Yeah,
better
we
start
have
looking at wingers.
We'll be
100%.
keeping Werner in January.
Mm.
He won't be going back now.
Oh God, guys, please, Werner. I don't want him. I don't want to see him tomorrow. Look,
we'll see.
let's
We're
hope-
definitely seeing tomorrow. We're definitely
let's just give
Son's out.
Yeah.
It's team
well,
time.
more. No, but more. Definitely have to play more. Have to.
No, but Moore's played. He's a young kid, you know. He's played 2 games back to back. He's played
Just
Thursday
if
and
he's
Sunday.
good enough, he's ready. Just put him in there.
No, he's ready, but I'm saying Thursday. Think about it logically, guys. Thursday, Sunday, and then you're gonna ask him to start again Wednesday. Come on, you know it's Timo time. You know it's Timo time.
no,
Come on.
no, you're
Probably
right.
is Timo time, but
Yeah, no.
Logically, I mean, like emotionally.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want him nowhere near the club. I'm like,
you're probably right.
get
He's
him out
going to
of our
start
club.
Werner.
End it January. His time is done. Do you know what I'm saying? But logically, you just know more will be on the bench. A 17-year-old, his body's still growing. He's probably got growing pains. He's probably like at night, his kneecaps are growing. Waking up. Oh, my back. Because you know that happened to Sarr, innit? That's why he was injured last season. He had growing pains.
yeah,
Forget
there's
how.
always a chance. There's always a chance he could play Kulu right and Johnson left,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I prefer that. I prefer that.
Run that. Yeah, he could run that. Yeah, run that. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm going for a Tottenham win.
Right.
Tottenham win 2-1, and
Nice.
just pray we do, because I'm
Yeah.
fed up. I need something to celebrate. You know, I know it's not saving the season or anything, but look, man, we're watching these games, we're reviewing these games. Look, man, we need to get something, get behind something, little, because we're in the quarterfinals then, aren't we? After that, we're in the quarterfinals.
We are, yeah. We are. Yeah, should we talk quickly on the Villa game? I mean, there's not a lot we can really say on it, obviously, because we don't know what's going to happen in the City game. Injuries, etc. But expecting Sonny back. Do you think it's going to be 3 points or anyone?
I mean, I could kick it off, bro, but Villa's not an easy game. I know we beat them the last game. A lot of people got a lot of confidence. But Villa have started off well. The Europe hasn't affected them like lots of people thought it would, like how it did to Newcastle. I think they've got a bigger squad, quality, the depth is there. Players to worry about or concerns on their side. I know we might have Sonny back. It'd be great if we have Sonny. It'd be a big boost if Son comes back because he changes that dynamic on the left, especially his experience can actually get us through games in terms of finishing. Like he's able to put the ball in the net. We need someone like that. We need a killer, and we're lacking killers at the moment in the final third. That's Spurs' biggest problem, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at Villa, I have to respect the opponent, and I'm looking at Rodgers. He's on form for me. He's really physical, like not just physical, but he's good at carrying the ball. What's it called? The guy that we were linked with, his name's gone from my head now. But no, Ramirez, Barnes, Aaron Ramsey. Sorry, Ramsey. Picking up a little bit of consistency as well, box to box threat. But it's McGinn. Really, I was going to get at McGinn for me. McGinn has come back into the side, started scoring. And I was like, oh, thank goodness McGinn's in about. And then McGinn goes on, starts scoring goals, starts being more effective in that side. Funny enough, though, before I talk about any more of their players, I'll just cut to this. Against Manchester United, they kind of faltered. Didn't get it over the line, didn't win. Against Arsenal, I think they should have beaten them. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Those misses from Watkins, oh my days. Watkins is a top player, but I don't know how he missed that against Martinez, that double save that he made.
Right.
Not Martinez, against Raya, sorry. Double save he got. Just talking about a reason why I got Martinez on the brains, because obviously the Ballon d'Or's just gone by and he's picked up some hefty awards in that ceremony. So their keeper, he's on stuff. I can't lie. I've already mentioned Watkins. Off the bench, you've got to put some respect on Duran, man. You know what I'm saying? Duran, that John guy, he's become a bit of a problem. So we've got new problems we're facing with. I wonder if I like their manager, Emery. I wonder if he looked at the game from last season and thought, I got it wrong. Am I going to switch my tactics to what was working? Because I think before he switched his tactics against us away from home, he was on a good run of form. It was actually working. Then he switched it, and then we took the piss and we beat them 4-1 or 4-0.
4-0.
Yeah, 4-0. No reply. Imagine that. 4-0. And I even at the home game when we played them, I thought we battered them, but you know, a few tweaks here, like we said, managers come, they tweak, and he managed to get the 2-1 against us. Set piece undone us at the first goal as well, I remember. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. Villa's it's a tough one to call for me. I'm not going to say it's a straightforward 3 points. It depends what Tottenham we're going to get, and that's the problem we have at the moment. We don't know what type of Spurs is turning up, and against these better teams that play out, we sometimes tend to get it right. It's the smaller ones that catch us off guard where we're a bit like inconsistent. When you don't expect us to do it, we do it, and when you do expect us to do it, we don't do it. So,
yeah. What do you think, Dan?
Oh well, Villa, they impressed me. I've said it last week as well on our show. Villa, they're building something there. They've got a mix of experience and youth players coming through. I love their manager, very good manager. Although they're not winning every match in the last 5 or 6 games, they're picking up a few draws in there. They're not losing. That just shows me that they have got some kind of good mentality. Even when they may have not played well in a game, been a bit off it after a Champions League match, they still managed to get a draw or get a result. So they're impressive. And they drew at the weekend to Bournemouth after a Champions League match. So can you see what I mean? Like after the Champions League game, they really kind of raised their games for the occasion. That's the first time in the Champions League for many a year. So it just shows you. And then they play against Bournemouth and they're probably tired, maybe Maybe they haven't got a big enough squad. But look, it's a tough game at the weekend. It's a game we can win, but the form we're in, you just never know. It's hard to call, really hard to call, like the City game we've just discussed. It could go either way. I don't know, man. Nige, what did you say again? Did you make a prediction? I can't remember now.
No, I'm very much the same. You just don't know what Spurs team are going to turn out. If we play at our best, I think we'll win. If we turn up anything like we did against Palace, then we'll get beat. I've said a couple of weeks ago, I think it'd be a 1-1 draw, but like I say, it really does depend what Tottenham turn up. But I'm more than confident at home. We tend to do okay at home, so I'm confident enough that we won't put another Palace display on. And if that's the case, I think we may win. But I'm going to sit on the fence and go for a draw, I think.
Yeah. So Villa, they're 4th in the league. They've won 5, drawn 3, lost 1 game, scored 16 goals, conceded 11. They're 18th. They're joint 3rd place with Arsenal. They're a team who are doing really well, and it's going to be an extremely tough match. And you just never know what Spurs are going to turn up. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Is that going to take a lot of energy out of the team if they do go kind of close to full strength? Look, I don't know, man. I can't call it. Maybe a draw is a kind of safe bet. And that's it for me.
Yeah, and I think we should leave it there, shouldn't we? Because time's getting on. Thank you so much for joining us, Ash. Really appreciate it. It's been brilliant.
Well, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
You enjoyed it, man?
No worries.
Enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was all good. All good.
Yeah.
Good, man. I enjoyed it, man.
Good,
And
man. It
make
was
sure
great having you on.
everyone support presses the button for Spurs King TV and subscribes, and also the Spurs Dan list. Thanks for coming on again, Dan. Good to have you as a co-host.
Great job, Nige. You've done a great job, man.
I really
And
enjoyed it. And
subscribe
make sure
to Nige Pure Coys as well, man. People, make sure you subscribe, smash the like button. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for your comments and getting involved. Yeah, cheers. And Ash, man, thanks for coming on,
No
buddy.
problem.
And I'll see you soon.
Cool. Peace.
take care, everyone.
There it is.